watching Jackass recently, it dawned on me, Roy, that Wee Man from Jackass looks a lot like Stugotz.
Really?
Look at the monitor.
Oh,
Rachel,
wow.
what do you think?
I mean, it's like his doppelganger.
Yeah, it's like separated at birth.
Yeah.
I feel bad for people listening to the podcast because they're like, what the hell are these guys talking about?
But the eyes and the smile.
And the nose. And the eyebrows and the cheeks and the chin. I mean, it's absolutely uncanny.
We'll post it on social.
We'll post it on social.
Please.
We'll put it on a poll. So some of you may know my esteemed guest co-host, comedian Rachel Wolfson from Ridiculousness on MTV. You may know her as the first woman to join Johnny Knoxville and his merry band of jackasses in last year's movie, Jackass Forever. You may know her as the co-star of the new prank panel with Johnny Knoxville, Eric Andre, and Gabrielle Sibidet every Sunday on ABC, and then streaming Mondays on Hulu. Am I doing okay so far?
I saw it got switched to Thursdays now at 9 p.m. My mom informed
Thursday.
me.
So is it Thursday on ABC and then Friday on Hulu, or how?
I guess I they didn't even let us know. So my mom was the one who told me. So based off my mom, it's now Thursdays at 9 p.m. and then I'm assuming that it would go to Hulu the next day.
Tonight, for one night only, she is live at Gramps in Wynwood here in Miami, and then on Sunday at Side Splitters in Tampa. The Florida of Florida. Mm-hmm. That's what we call Tampa. Go to RachelWolfsonComedy.com for tickets and tour info. I know her, of course, from our monthly meetings where we get our Soros checks and decide where our space lasers will aim. Rachel, Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and tripling the Jewish population in the building here. Oh, I'm sorry. Quadrupling or quadrupling? How many are we at? What's the Matthew Lark count?
I know stereotypically we're supposed to be good at math, but I don't know the answer to this.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
I didn't say anything.
Some of my best accountants are Jewish. Sure.
Did not say anything on the
side. Rachel.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. What the hell? I mean, you're here just for the gig? What are you doing in Miami?
We came for a couple days. I went to college down here. And
are you serious?
Yeah.
There's always a Miami connection.
I know. And so I've always just had an affinity for Florida. It's one of those states where you hate it. You have a love-hate relationship with it, but
you don't say.
I just miss it sometimes after being away for so long, and then as soon as I get here, I'm like, oh, that's why I left.
I do have that problem with Mike. So someone observed once about me. They're like, it's clear that he loves Miami. We're not entirely sure if he likes it very much, but I get that same thing. Like the best thing for me, my favorite thing about traveling is coming back home to Miami.
Yeah,
I honestly do. I get nervous around in homogenized environments, like when there's too many white people around, I panic. I'm like, I don't know if I'm just like, they're always plotting. White people are always plotting. Like, so I'm like, I need some arroz con pollo. I need some café con leche. I need to get back to I need to get back to Miami as quickly as possible. But you grew up, okay, you were born, I don't know anybody who was born in Las Vegas. I know people who were probably conceived in Las Vegas.
Andre Agassi.
But but I don't know Andre Agassi.
No,
but
true.
But so you were born in, and I feel there's like a kinship with Miami because you were born in a mirage in the desert that became a real place thanks to gangsters and criminals.
Yep.
So that's Miami,
100%.
Not the desert part, but in the tropics, basically.
I say Miami's Vegas's slutty sister.
Wait, we are?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like,
Yeah.
I was about to say.
Which one? Yeah.
Miami is big. I guess they're both slutty sisters.
Can we do
Yeah, who's more
Spider-Man?
of a
Can we do
slut?
Spider-Man pointing at each other? Can we do?
Yeah.
We have to. I mean, seriously, what?
I mean, they're very similar. Minus obviously Vegas doesn't have the beach, but both places were built off crime family. And
they're like not they're kind of facades of real places.
And the casinos are ran by the natives down here, so
that's true. We only have right. That's exactly right. Well, and then we have numbers rackets. So,
right,
you got to go in the play some dice. But so how did you get? Well, actually, I want to ask you because you tell a story about getting involved in Jackass, and in what, like 2019ish. When did that? Okay, and then there was Jackass sexual harassment training. Is that for real?
Yeah, because when we started shooting Jackass in 2019, that was when the Me Too movement was starting to hit the rounds again of Hollywood and comedy. If every few years, I feel like, there's outrage over a certain director or whatnot, but then it just quickly kind of goes away. But this, in 2019, it really felt like there was a movement behind it. And so in Hollywood, I think they started doing HR training on sets. And so when I
Jackass.
Yeah, so when I showed up, they're like, okay, we're gonna do sexual harassment training, and I'm like, okay, and then it's just me and all the guys. And the woman was basically, just don't take your dick out when you're not on set.
I mean, it's all
I was
penises,
like, listen,
the whole.
I was like, listen, I've seen their dicks since I was a kid. Like, I don't need any, you don't have a problem with me. It's so.
It's like it's not Me Too. It's too late.
Yeah.
Really, right?
Yeah.
On Jackass. But can you tell me, because you were there when you were not participating in stunts or pranks, you were also there in like the peanut gallery. You were on set for a lot. Tell what was your favorite bit that didn't make the cut?
My favorite bit that didn't make the cut. I don't know if pretty much everything I feel like I did made the cut. What bummed me out was they had different plans for me or more plans for me because of the pandemic, like maybe public pranking and things like that. That got, we weren't able to do it. So I always wonder, like, what
could have done? Yeah.
What would those bits would have been?
The Jackass that could have been.
Yeah.
Well, are they not going to make another one?
I don't know. I'm the last person to know about those things. I wouldn't be surprised either way. Like if they came to me and were like, we're doing another one, then I would be like, of course we are. But if they didn't, then I would be like, oh, that makes sense.
So Rachel, this is a sports show.
Okay.
This is not a sports show. So this is a sports show.
Sports.
So I want where you have a kind of a sports connection, kind of. In that.
Yeah.
Your mother. Is now retired Nevada Circuit Court Judge Jackie Glass, who presided over O.J. Simpson's trial in Las Vegas for armed robbery and kidnapping and sentenced him to 9 to 13 years.
9 to 33.
9 to 33. I'm sorry, not yet. Yes, you're right. 9 to 33 years in prison.
Oh, she sipped the soda from the
the Diet
cup,
Coke.
right?
Oh my God, that's so funny. You know that? That was Diet Coke, by the way.
God, that was
before
so.
she quit
so
Diet
gangster.
Coke, and that's my Aunt Sugar right there, sitting behind OJ. That's my mom's friend Renee.
You're kidding? Like in the peanut gallery there.
I think that's my dad behind OJ. I don't know. His head's blocking.
Yeah, and your dad's a prosecutor, right? He's
Oh,
like a
that's my
district
dad.
attorney.
That's my dad with his beard.
And Ron Goldman.
Yeah.
And so that's your dad in the upper right, and Ron Goldman and Ron Goldman's father and sister.
Or the upper left. He was
Oh my
with
God.
the mustache. Yeah, that was my dad.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was discipline like in your house? Would she be like, okay, you're punished for 5 to 15 days, and then in the 5th day you get like a parole hearing and like
Guilty.
you'd either
Well, yeah. I mean, my joke is like my O.J. Simpson got sent to prison by the same woman who sent me to my room. But we got out.
Oh.
Hey.
So, yeah.
No.
Yeah. So I mean, actually, it was funny. My mom, when that case happened and when OJ got arrested for the robbery case, I was living in Vermont and I was graduating and I was about to move down to Florida. So when she was actually doing the case, I was living in Florida. So I was here.
Which is where OJ was actually was living.
Yes.
Both of you trying to protect your houses from
now
civil forfeiture.
He's living in Vegas where my family lives.
That's right. The two, you're like ships passing in the night, the two of you.
I know. I wonder if he's ever heard my joke.
If you bleach your hair,
I might be his type.
Yeah.
Oh, don't I know?
My ex-girlfriend worked at a Tony Roma's in Kendall when he was living in West Kendall. And he would come in all the time. He'd flirt with the white blonde hostess because OJ. And then before they would seat him in his party, they would take all the knives off of the table.
Oh, wow.
And he would sit down. He'd invariably, Tony Roma's a place for ribs. He would invariably order a steak. And he'd be like, pardon me, miss, can I please get a steak? And they'd be like, coming right up, sir. Yes, sir, we'll get you a knife. And they would nobody would bring him a knife. You'd have to take one from a place setting at another table. So yeah, OJ could not get a knife in Kendall. So Rachel Wolfson, at Rachel Wolfson on Instagram, is a fabulous follow, but she has another account.
Yeah.
At Wolfie DMs. where you collect the just like creepiest direct messages.
Creepiest, most humbling. If you ever, need to take it down a notch, just look inside your DMs. I'm sure there's people who will remind you
there's
of reality.
There's like that other folder. You know the other folder I'm talking about.
Yep.
There's like the friends, and there's like
the hidden requests.
The hidden requests. That there's times of day I won't click on it because it's going to send me to a dark place.
Isn't it crazy? You could get like hundreds of positive comments, but then it's just like one negative comment will just live in your head rent free forever.
And also from nobody, literally from some anonymous avatar
living in his mom's basement
with 8 numbers at the end of his name.
Yeah.
Totally a real person.
Totally a real person. So I think we need to do a top 5.
Oh boy,
let's do it.
So we need to. So I was I looked at some, and I'm thinking okay, some of these have got to be from Florida men.
Probably.
So we're gonna do the top 5 DMs that were probably sent to you by Florida men.
Yep.
Number 5.
You're way too hot to have no.
Oh. And of course, they spell "you're" wrong
and "too"
wrong.
Yeah.
They're totally homophonic. Homophonic? What would you say? But that's absolutely a Miami person, probably. Not even just Florida, but a Miami person.
You can tell just based off how they're focusing on my butt.
Absolutely.
Totally a Florida comment.
I'm surprised they haven't asked you about your feet yet.
Oh, listen, I'm already on Wikipedia. And my rating is high, and that's where I'd like to keep it.
Congratulations.
Mazel
Thank
tov.
you. Thank you.
Number 4.
Oh, God. Bruh, I would love to lick whipped cream out of your beautiful, magnificent, and exquisite booty hole.
I think it's the bruh for me.
Yeah.
That's got
with 2 H's, mind you.
BRUHH. And although beautiful, magnificent, and exquisite are all spelled correctly,
Yes.
so that may lead me to believe it's not Florida. Number 3.
I would eat cereal out of your. You're a beautiful soul, beautiful woman, and very talented. I call that booty pebbles.
I would. That one's almost sweet, actually.
No, some of these are nice. I call them almost compliments. So because they're almost fully a compliment, but usually someone will say something that's intended to be nice, followed by something that's really meant to humble me. So
and cereal, I don't know if cereal is so Florida. It was like ropa vieja, maybe, or something, or like a croqueta. Maybe that would definitely be Miami. Number 2.
Oh God, another booty thing.
Oh my God.
Ma'am, I'm trying to eat a bag of Skittles out your booty.
Ma'am is respectful.
Yeah, taste the rainbow.
Jesus. Okay, is there more feet or more booty in the DMs?
Ooh, it's pretty even, I'd say, like half and half. It really just depends what you're into. Some people, I didn't realize when the movie came out that instead of like looking past my past tweets and my posts to see if, I had anything edgy, I should have been looking at my pictures with my feet because they all ended up on Wikipedia. So
Wikipedia, I am like today years old when I learned about Wikipedia.
Oh, be careful. You might end up on there.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, please no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's something for everyone.
And the number 1, the top 5 DMs that were sent to Rachel most likely by Florida men.
These are so... I would suck a fart out of your ass and hold it in like a bong rip. Yeah. I just want to say not all of my fans are obsessed with my butt. They like other parts. But yeah, this is you can tell there's a theme going on.
Anya and Derick Cook are the latest victims of what I can only call mandatory state torture. This is a family who, with a wanted pregnancy, with a planned pregnancy, looking forward to their family. Termination was not at all a part of the plan. And yet when trouble occurred, Anya was effectively denied the essential health care that she needed to potentially save her life. She lost nearly half of the blood in her body. And Anya and Derick have been really brave brave voices on the front line of the Ron DeSantis and Florida, I should say, supermajority Republican Florida legislature abortion ban. And Anya, when did you know that there was something wrong? And, what did you do? Where did you go? And what kind of help did you need?
So what happened was we were walking out of a Fridays, and I literally just felt like we left the parade in Coral Springs that night, and I felt like there was something, like a jug of water thrown on me. And I looked at my husband and I said, babe, somebody just threw water on me, but there was no one in the parking lot. It was a TGIF Fridays parking lot, and there's literally barely any lights on in there. So I kept feeling that there was water just gushing out of me. So I put my hands down, looked at my hands, and I then saw and realized that it was clear water. It didn't have any blood to it. And we were literally right in Coral Springs. So we shot right over to the hospital that we trusted and I've always gone to. And it was like a 4 or 5 minute drive. They wheeled me in through the labor and delivery and brought me all the way to the emergency room, waiting room, and had me sitting there for an hour.
Wow.
As a pregnant woman. And then when they finally brought me in, they brought me upstairs for an ultrasound. My daughter was still moving around. She still had her heartbeat. And so I had hope. And I said, okay, maybe the water that was gushing out of me is probably just something else, because I wasn't thinking nowhere near at 16 weeks that it was my water that had broken. So when I went downstairs, the doctor had explained to us, and my mother by that time, she was there, and they explained to us that what had happened was my water had broken, and I would be delivering my daughter stillborn within 12 to 24 hours, and that there was no chance of viability at all. And that's where I looked at him and I said, okay, so I've had a lot of losses prior to that. So I kind of accepted the fact that I wasn't going to carry that pregnancy longer quite quickly. And I just, at that point, I started thinking about my health and what was supposed to happen at that point. And I looked at him and I said, okay, so are we terminating the pregnancy? I don't know. What are we supposed to do at this point? He said, I can't terminate you. And I said, what do you mean you can't terminate the pregnancy? What do you mean you can't? Okay, so are you guys going to monitor me? He said, we can't monitor you. I said, so, okay, so I'm just going to be sitting here and we're just going to be like, what are we doing?
Wait a second. I'm sorry. He said he can't monitor you? I mean,
he can't monitor me.
You're 4 months.
I asked him if he can't monitor me first. And he said, we can't monitor you. And I said, what do you mean? So you're not admitting me? He said, we can't admit you. So then I looked at my husband looked at my mom looked at my husband, and they both looked at me, and we all looked at him, and they both said to him, what do you mean you can't admit her? And he said, I can't admit you. I said, so you're telling me I'm going to deliver my daughter in the next 12 to 24 hours, stillborn, and I'm not going to be here at a hospital? And he said, I'm so sorry, sweetie. I'm so sorry. And I said to him, and I said, what is that? What does that mean? And in that moment, that is when it kicked in for me. And I said, Roe v. Wade. Mm-hmm. And he said, yes, I'm so sorry. He said, I can't risk my, and I didn't even ask him this. Now that I think about it, I didn't even ask him this part, but he said then, I can't risk my license getting taken away, and I can't risk getting put in prison or getting arrested were his words. And I can't risk the hospital getting in trouble.
So you are
I said, so I'm about to deliver my daughter. What am I supposed to do with her? What do I do? Will I know that I'm in labor? When will this happen? And he said within 12 to 24 hours. How will I know this is happening? I've never delivered a child before. How will I know I'm in labor? And he said, you will possibly know, you might feel contractions. I said, I might feel contractions. So I'm basically left to just have this child wherever. Do I bring her here? What do I do? And he said, sweetie, there's nothing we can do.
Jesus.
He couldn't even answer.
And then he told
your
me
questions?
to follow up with my OB. No. And then he told me I can follow up with my OB the next afternoon.
So you were 4 months pregnant. You are clear.
I was 4 months pregnant. 16 weeks.
You were clearly in some sort of medical crisis, and the doctor at the hospital is sending you home.
The doctor at a hospital, at a very large hospital, that it wasn't an urgent care, it wasn't a walk-in clinic, it was a full-on hospital that had a maternity unit. They have a whole building just for women's care.
What's crazy is these doctors take an oath that no matter what, they're...
No matter what.
And then these people who make these rules, the Roe versus Wade, claim that they value life. Huh. And here is someone's life at risk. And they're like, yeah, there's nothing we can do. Like, make it make sense.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, obviously it doesn't make any sense. And I think
sense at all, yeah.
Yeah. And what's going to, happen here in the state of Florida, of course, is that
they're going to reduce it even more.
Well, doctors aren't. It is reduced. I mean, abortion is banned in Florida. It's a 6-week ban. It's a 6-week ban, but that's an abortion ban.
Right.
That's not a real. But the problem is that real doctors, ethical doctors, are not going to want to practice medicine in Florida. We're going to wind up with a bunch of quacks down here. None of us are women, men, children. No one's going to be able to get competent health care because doctors don't want to send women home to die. And speaking of which, Anya, at some point you did go into, I guess, what you would call labor, right? Shortly thereafter.
Well, exactly like he said, it was literally 12 hours later. This is where the part where it gets a little bit crazy for me. I had a hair appointment because I have locks and my locks are all the way past my knees. So I had a hair appointment already scheduled that morning. And throughout that night, you can just imagine, I had already went into a really dark, sunken place. And I, at that point, was like, okay, I'm just going to die. I know I'm going to die. He told me that there is a very large risk for infection by having her in me because he's not sure how long she's going to survive with no water.
These people should be, lawmakers should be charged with attempted murder. Anyone who dies under this should be charged with murder.
Exactly.
That's as simple as it is.
But they're pro-life, Rachel.
Morning,
I don't care. I'm not pro their lives.
Yes, they're pro-life.
I'm not pro their lives.
They're not pro my life.
Nope.
They're not pro my life.
Pro-life when they sent her home.
Yeah. So then I went to my hair appointment and my husband was arguing the whole way. And I thought to myself, you know what? Because if I'm going to die, I don't want my mom to have to worry about getting my locks done for my funeral.
God.
So we went, my husband was there and I did my hair. And the moment I started to feel like something just told me I needed to go to the bathroom. So I went into the bathroom at the hair salon and I sat down on the toilet and I felt the spirit of my grandmother in that very moment just tell me, Annie, you need to push. And I don't know what I was doing. I don't know what I was pushing, why she was telling me that. I was like, okay, sure. I didn't feel any contraction or anything. I just literally put my hands on my knees and I pushed my body. And my daughter came right out.
Wow. Did somebody dial 911? Did an ambulance come?
I called my husband right after that, and he called 911, and the ambulance came. I then started to lose a lot of blood. By the end of all this, they said I lost half the blood in my body, and I hemorrhaged really, really bad. So they brought me into the hospital and told me that it was going to be, at this point, they brought me to another hospital in Miramar. And then they told me it was going to be an hour and a half long, 2-hour surgery. I didn't wake up until 12 hours later.
It was Hollywood Hospital.
Derek,
I was in Hollywood. Okay.
Derek, I want to ask you, you are, I presume, sitting in a waiting room while you've just lost your daughter. Your wife is inside for at least it's an hour and a half. What is going on in your mind? What is this experience like for you, Derek?
I was confused and I didn't know what to do. Only thing that I can do was just pray to God and try to hope for the best, knowing that what happened at the other hospital, that it wouldn't happen at this hospital.
Yeah.
I was scared. I didn't know what to do.
So you kind of had PTSD. Yeah, I mean, you kind of had PTSD from getting turned away from that first hospital. Did you were afraid?
Yeah.
Were you afraid they were going to let Anya bleed to death and not care for her, not help her?
Yeah, I'm still going through a little bit of PTSD right now. It's hard for me to talk about it with people because I get emotional. Mm-hmm. It's like a roller coaster for me. And, I didn't want to lose my wife at all, going through this. It was just it was just very traumatic for me. Very.
Anya, what message would you like to send? Because I feel like a lot of the conversation about abortion, mostly by rich old white men, mind you, mm-hmm. is around promiscuity and sort of birth control. But the reality is that it is healthcare, is what it is.
It is.
Because
I wasn't asking for an abortion. I was asking for healthcare. That is what I was asking for. We weren't asking for a handout. No. We weren't asking for someone to do something for us for free. We pay for our insurance every single month. Our insurance is an amazing insurance policy. We went into a hospital knowing that they would care for us, and then we left finding out they can't.
Yeah, like
the fact that you took these doctors' decisions away from them. I now question if they even have a real oath in the first place, because an oath means no matter what. Mm-hmm. No matter what. There's no matter what now. They literally left me to die. I was on a ventilator. I still think about that. Like, I was on a ventilator and I didn't have to be. A doctor had to come and ask my husband whether to save my uterus or save my life. That should never happen. Never.
That's insane. Truly insane.
It's so insane.
And that's the part I can't believe. Like, how could you come ask me to save my wife's uterus or my wife's life? Like, both of them wasn't important to us. It's very important to us. And it's very important to me.
Yeah.
You know? So for a doctor to come out and come ask me that, I'm looking around like, so this is my decision to keep her alive? Like, you the doctor, keep her alive.
That's your job.
That's your job.
That's what you signed up to do this for, is to save people's lives. I'm just so confused. I feel like they're just setting me up to die.
We went through too much the night before, and then to come into the hospital, and then that happened. It was just a lot. It's like one thing after another.
Someone is going to die. I mean, they are dying, but there's going to come a point where, people are going to get sued. And this is just.
Yeah, well, yeah. And it's funny because I later found out that the hospital I went to first, if what had happened to me the next day and I went to that hospital, I would have not survived. The hospital that they ended up taking me to is the only hospital in South Florida that was able to save my life.
How is this not malpractice or fall under, negligence?
Oh, it is.
Because at a certain, I just feel like, it unfortunately takes death sometimes for things to change and for lawsuits to happen to force the laws to change. And it sucks that, people like you are the example and made the example for that. And
exactly.
I'm so horrified for what you both went through, and my heart goes out to both of you. And I really think that, people speaking up about this and you guys being very brave and sharing that, it hopefully will bring some kind of change. I hope.
Yeah, before someone loses their life. Yeah, before someone loses their life. I thank you for your bravery. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you, Billy.
Rest in peace, Bunny.
Ugh, I feel for them. That's so sad. And it just is so unnecessary. I mean, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's like, where is the liberty? And it's just crazy that, a place like Florida, they're pro-gun, but they're pro-life. But yet,
the free state of Florida.
Right.
The free state of Florida.
And then, where do these people get off? I don't know, And then oftentimes these politicians will have kids who've had abortions or they've had to pay for their son's abortion. And it's like, well, what if your daughter was forced to have a pregnancy that could kill her? Would that change your life?
But that's not how it works. It doesn't affect them.
Right.
They will find a way. They'll find a place. They'll find a state. They'll find a country.
Not as I do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Rich white men will find a way to make happen whatever it is that they want to make happen. This doesn't affect them.
And I hate to say it's not just rich white men. There's women who stand by this. There's all kinds of people who feel this way. And no matter what, no matter rape, no matter if your life is at risk, it's, they don't care. How can you value the baby's life, but not the woman who's carrying it?
But those same people, again, they're not going to watch their child die.
Yeah.
They're going to get her the health care that she needs. They know this is bullshit. Mm-hmm. They're pandering to, as it turns out, a tiny minority of Americans. In Florida, incidentally, 77% of Floridians don't agree on anything other than we need to legalize weed and legalize abortion, and yet we can't get either of those things done.
But
it's the will of the people.
Have some more guns. And that's the thing. It's like, how can you? Because Florida's open carry, right? You can.
No,
it's not.
No, it's permitless carry, but not open. You have to conceal it, but you don't need a permit. You don't need training.
Right.
You don't need. Yeah.
So you're walking into Publix. A guy has his gun, but meanwhile, if someone smokes a joint on the street, felony. It's like, I don't understand. That's why I had to leave Florida. I had to leave here because I went to college down here, and I moved here from Washington, D.C. I went to American for a year. I thought I wanted to do the law thing like my parents. That was, a slip in my judgment. And when I was in D.C., I felt like the dumbest person in all of my classes. I just didn't care about politics the way they did, and so I decided to move down to Florida. I had friends down here.
I love when you just sort of give up on academia and don't give a anymore. You move to Florida.
I wanted to be by the beach, and so and then I was the smartest person in all of my classes. I was a genius, and you never want to be the smartest person in the room. And here I am, and so I was living
in that room right now.
Yeah, and I was living
in this room that I'm in, for sure.
So I was living in Florida, and the cops showed up at my door for a smell of weed, just the smell. And it was clearly my neighbor above me who had called the cops, because anytime I would step outside to smoke weed on the patio, she would spray bug spray, like she was trying to exterminate me. And, I'm Jewish, so that's a hate crime.
Bug spray?
Yeah, bug spray me, like as, trying to exterminate me. So at that point, I was like, I need to leave. Like, I can't, this could ruin my life.
Right, smoking weed.
Yeah, just getting caught over, and it's like that has ruined people's lives, getting caught with weed here or anything, so.
Which, by the way, at the same time, since the 1960s, has also been the #1 cash crop in the state of Florida, despite the fact that it was totally
I know,
illegal.
it's like you guys give all these older people pills and pill mills and whatever. Meanwhile, you could legalize weed or decriminalize it, create an industry here.
We have an industry. It's called
Bang, bang, snort, snort.
Well, there's always a Miami connection. And this story out of Northwestern that resulted in, I don't know if you heard about this, Rachel, the football coach, Pat Fitzgerald, got into a little bit of trouble. He had like a minor suspension. And then all of a sudden, the student-run paper, the Daily Northwestern, ran a story that talked about, well, we'll talk about some of the details, the sexualized hazing that was going on in the locker room. And suddenly the president of the university had a crisis of conscience. Maybe we need to revisit this slap on the wrist that he got here. And suddenly he was fired. And that was the result in no small part of the enterprising journalism by Nicole Markus, who was part of the team that wrote that bombshell story. And she is a native Miamian and the former editor-in-chief of the newspaper at Miami Palmetto. Part of the Palmetto has some remarkable alumni, Nicole, and you are among them. Now the summer editor-in-chief at the Daily Northwestern. And Nicole, I have to ask right out of the bat, are you not just a Miami Hurricanes plant that was sent to Northwestern to destroy the athletic department?
I've always been a fan of Miami, so can't confirm or deny.
Like Dan LeBatard. Huh?
Oh, go Panthers. Go Canes. Nicole, tell me about how, this was a tip, right? You guys got a call from a former athlete. And out of curiosity, why'd they call you? I mean that in the nicest possible way. There's any number of journalists or papers or, ESPN, any place they could have called, but they called you guys. Why?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I don't think we really know exactly why he reached out to us, but he did, and we jumped on it because we wanted to make sure that we were telling his story and making sure that he was able to just speak on what had happened to him.
So what were the details that he provided you that had not been reported before?
Yeah, so pretty much all of them. We knew that hazing had occurred on the football team, but we really didn't have any details on what that hazing entailed. And he reached out and let us know that it included coerced sexual acts, including running, which is when a group of upperclassmen would restrain typically a freshman or an underclassman and basically dry hump them. And there was a lot of other things that happened too, but none of those details were initially reported by the university.
Yeah, this kind of sounds like a day on the set of Jackass, Rachel, is what that sounds to me.
It's like, is it for football?
Yes, it is for football. Anything for football, Rachel. anything for football. And what was the original punishment or for Pat Fitzgerald? And it happened kind of under this sort of, I don't know, this haze of mystery because you didn't know what the facts were. It was just kind of like, well, some bad stuff happened and he's going to get punished. So what did you know before, and then what was his initial punishment from the university?
Yeah, the initial sanction imposed on Coach Fitzgerald was just a 2-week suspension.
2 weeks?
And that kind of happened in the middle of the dead period for football over the summer. And then there were some other things imposed on the football team as well, which kind of included no more practices at Camp Kenosha, which is where allegedly some of this hazing had occurred. And then
Camp Kenosha?
Yeah, it's in Wisconsin. So they would practice there, and a few people have told us that that's where the hazing kind of stemmed from. And then they also now have to have a locker room attendant who does not report to the coaching staff. So
hang on, let me get this straight. The punishment was he had a 2-week vacation during the summer, and he didn't have to go to Wisconsin anymore. How is that a punish? All of that sounds like, I don't know, that sounds like something that would be in a contract rider, is like a benefit to me. But nobody knew the details of what happened, right? It was kind of like, and what did they say? Bad stuff happened, there were violations. How vague was the university about this?
It was pretty vague. There was literally no details on what the hazing entailed, and they just said that it was widespread and that they had talked to multiple players about this, and that was pretty much all we got.
So the Northwestern University president, I'm guessing that he didn't learn anything. Was it Michael Schill? Is that his name? The appropriately named Schill? I'm guessing he didn't learn anything new from your reporting, right? He must have gotten a full accounting of what was alleged by the current and former players, right? So what changed suddenly that he needed to revisit this punishment?
It's hard to say. I mean, we weren't in the room, obviously, but we do know that that email saying that he may have erred in the original sanctions came out a few, I want to say 11, 12 hours after our original report came out. Maybe he learned something new, or maybe he just had the opportunity to speak with the family and the student, as he said in his email, and decided that he had made a mistake. It's really hard to say.
I respect your diplomacy. I have to say, isn't this the classic, like, he's not sorry it happened, he's sorry they got caught, right? I mean, that's what happened. If you hadn't written anything, this guy would have gotten his 2-week vacation and didn't have to go to Wisconsin anymore. No?
I mean, yeah, again, it's hard to say. We don't know what happened in the room, and, we just reported on what we were told, and that kind of, snowballed on social media, and, a bunch of other outlets picked it up too. And all of a sudden the entire school and pretty much the entire country was talking about it. So hard to say what the decision making was there.
Is there any other shoes that will drop in the near future?
Yeah, I do want to give credit to 670 The Score and Inside NU, which is another publication at Northwestern, for their work on the baseball story. They did a really incredible job with that, and we were mostly focused on football. But yeah, I think there's a lot of other things that can come from this story, and my team is working on that right now, and they've done really incredible work as well. So we're just looking to see what's coming next. We heard from a few of the football players this morning in a press conference who are now being represented by an attorney. So there's a lot of pending litigation going on. So a lot of avenues to look into there as well.
Nicole Markus, summer editor-in-chief. You can find her work at dailynorthwestern.com. Miami Palmetto student made good. Proud of you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Rachel. It felt like a real, you can't do that on television moment. Like, I'm opening up the...
Was she Moose?
I'm showing my old age now, but opening the locker room, and we're in the locker. Yeah. Hey, Rachel.
Hey,
Guillermo. Let me ask you, how many books you'd like to ban? Does Anne Frank upset you? Because you can't be upset in school. That's not what schools are for.
I mean, I had to read all the Holocaust books as a child. What books would I want to ban?
Yeah.
The Bible, just the Second Testament, the New Testament. No, I'd probably ban the whole thing. And then Mein Kampf. I feel like those two.
Your Kampf and mine. Well, you have something in common with Rabbi Barry Silver, who is a friend of the show. Rabbi Barry Silver is actually a plaintiff. He's an attorney. He's a rabbi in Boca Raton. And he is a plaintiff in the lawsuit against the state of Florida on the abortion ban, because he says that it is a violation of the First Amendment rights of Jews who believe in the sanctity of the life of the mother and protecting the mother at all costs. That is a subject that will come up later in this program. But Rabbi Barry Silver appeared at a Palm Beach County school board meeting, and he had this to say.
I am asking the school board to ban the Bible under the regulations and criteria established by Governor DeSantis in the Parental Rights and Responsibility Act. The Bible is at the top of the list of everything that he says should be banned. It's got misogyny, rape, incest, child abuse, animal abuse. It's got genocide in it. It's got an angry God who kills people if you don't believe in him.
This is a Jackass movie.
Or who kills you if you believe in him but don't do it the right way. It fits all the criteria in spades. I don't suggest banning anything. I don't like banning books. But if you're going to start banning books, you better do it even-handedly. Otherwise, what you're doing is censorship. I'm an educator. My wife teaches in Palm Beach County. My kids graduated number 1 and number 2 at Olympic Heights High School. And they did that because I taught them from an early age. Think for yourself. Don't believe something as I told you, the Bible tells you, a teacher tells you. Do your own work. Think for yourself. And the Bible also rejects evolution, the cornerstone and the foundation of all science. To suggest that we should have kids reading this stuff and taking it literally is very, very dangerous. We had Holocaust survivors here today. They say we should never have this happen again. Christian scripture is replete with blaming the Jews for the death of Jesus. The 2 synagogues that were shot up in the United States, both killers had Christian scripture on their lips. You can't teach this stuff to kids as the Word of God without some type of understanding that the Bible, Jewish and Christian, has beautiful teachings in it. It was our first effort at morality, our first effort at history, our first effort at medicine, our first vision of a world at peace, but it was not our last and it was not our most perfected. And if you take it literally and you worship an angry God, you will be angry and you will be violent. The teachings of the Bible are based on myth in Genesis. And if you take those myths literally, you'll be myth-guided, myth-led, myth-understood. You'll myth the boat, and you'll be misogynistic. The laws also say you can't indoctrinate children. This is indoctrinating them. We have in every school now, in God we trust. I say in education and in freedom we trust, not in supernatural beings.
Rachel's ready to sign up for the at the synagogue. She's at Rabbi Barry's.
I love this guy.
I'm a Christian. I
mean, it's crazy. You know, it's just, yeah, so insane.
Well, if you're going to ban something,
if you're going to shoot up a synagogue over your king who's a Jew, what are you doing?
I mean, Jesus, he was
Jesus would not be okay with it.
Jesus was the last Jewish carpenter. I know.
The only Jewish carpenter.
So there is one Florida man in Clay County. This is just south of Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. And he has spent his summer vacation he has filed over 700 challenges in the district of over 35,000 students, of which only 3 had parental restrictions in the library. But he is attempting to ban over 700 books in the entire county, the entire school board. And these books include Arthur's Birthday, Arthur the Aardvark. Yes, Arthur the Aardvark. They include, actually, Sophie's Choice. Okay. You said you had to read some Holocaust books. Clan of the Cave Bear. So some of these things are children's books. Some of these things are just staples of like public school reading, which Captain Underpants and the Sensational Saga of Sir Stink-a-Lot. Yeah, also sounds like a Jackass movie.
Talk about not reading The Room.
So, I mean, there's a couple Stephen King books here, but like for high school kids?
Dude, I was traumatized by some of the books that I read growing up. Not that I would ban them, but The Giver and
the Bible.
Good Earth. Yeah, the Bible. The Bible was the most traumatizing. Ban all books. If you're going to ban one, ban them all.
There was some books I didn't want to read. That I didn't like to read, but like
algebra.
Or like even some like Good Earth was a tough slog.
Oh my God, I hated that book, and I couldn't understand why they made me read it in 5th grade. It was so awful.
Yeah, there's a lot of, but like, I don't know, that trauma is healthy. That trauma is good. The trauma is educational, you know. But here's my favorite. There's a book by a guy named Nicholas J. Karolides that this guy wants to ban. The name of the book is 120 Banned Books.
And he wants to ban that book?
Censorship Histories of World Literature. And he wants to ban that book from the Clay County school system.
Aren't Republicans and conservatives against censorship?
Yeah, that's cancel culture. He wants to cancel over 700 books is what he wants to do.
You want to cancel Paddington Bear?
Corduroy.
Literally.
I mean, you say he was on summer vacation. Just say the correct thing. He doesn't have a job.
Yeah, he's unemployed.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I had to guess, he also has no children and no children in public schools.
Yeah.
And no wife.
Yeah, because if you had kids, you know, like giving them a book, something to distract them, anything, you know, so that he clearly has no love in his life. Yeah.
Go read. At Rachel Wolfson on Instagram, the Prank Panel, Thursdays on ABC, then streaming on Hulu. Tonight, one night only, at Gramps in Wynwood here in Miami. Sunday Side Splitters in Tampa. RachelWolfsonComedy.com for tickets and tour info. You know Bradley Whitford? Do you know who that is? So he was co-star on The West Wing, He's on The Handmaid's Tale. For me, he'll always be Roger Lattimore, the villain in Revenge of the Nerds 2, Nerds in Paradise. One of my favorite filmed in Florida movies.
Nah, man, Adventures in Babysitting, brother.
Adventures in Babysitting.
Let's
but
go.
I mean, Revenge of the Nerds 2. I mean, Hotel Coral Essex. I mean, come on, dude. One of the great movie gags written by a 13-year-old boy of all time.
My favorite Florida movie is The Birdcage.
Ah, very nice. Hank Azaria.
Just wanted to say.
Well, on that theme, Bradley Woodford last week was the keynote speaker at the Florida Democrats annual gala. Don't say gala; it's a gala. At the gala, this is Florida. I don't know if we're even allowed by law to talk about the birdcage anymore. Rest in power, Baraka Short, Cocaine's, and here is a Because Miami exclusive clip of Bradley Woodford at the Florida Democratic Gala, don't say gala. He had some things to say about Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
You're goddamn right, Meatball. Maxwell Frost, a rising star in the Democratic Party, raised some eyebrows recently by using the F word in reference to Ron DeSantis. And I just want to add the C word. Because like Donald Trump, like all bullies, Ron DeSantis is a coward. He's a coward. He's afraid of history. He's afraid of people loving each other. He's afraid of people who are different from him. He's afraid of Donald Trump. That's right. Top Gov is a bit of a bottom. He's afraid of liberty. He's afraid of the pursuit of happiness. He's afraid of a free press. He's afraid of people voting. He's afraid of ideas. He's afraid of science. He's afraid of the gun lobby. Apparently, he's even afraid of Mickey Mouse. Ronnie's not interested in policies that would help the hardworking people of Florida. If anything, Ronnie is doing everything he can to make it worse by making it harder for them to get health care, easier for criminals to get their hands on guns. But Ronnie doesn't care about governing. He really wants to be president, guys. As he tries to pull Florida back decades and to impose his little dictator fantasy, not only on Florida, but on the entire country. Well, it's not going to work.